Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to another week, another episode of the Medicine Ball Podcast. You could have chosen to spend your time anywhere. You rock with me today. Thank you. I never take that lightly. Before we get into it, let my beat drop. Yes, that's right. Welcome to Medicine Ball with your boy LS3 to be exact. And if you ain't in shape, at least your brain should be. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Medicine Ball Podcast, where we focus on giving your brain a six-pack by exercising your mind. Now, exercising your mind means that you actively think about and deal with all situations by first seeking to do anything other than what you are normally programmed and or comfortable in doing. Now, if you're someone who struggles and wants to get better at thinking about things beforehand, as opposed to reacting in ways that require less effort, well, just like anything you want to get better at, it does require training, practice, and work. Now, I'm well aware that thinking about things beforehand as opposed to responding off instinct does require effort. And who doesn't prefer things that are easy? Well, the first step, my friends, can be very easy, and that's to begin to look at all things from an unbiased point of view, which in itself will increase your curiosity in life. Now, exercising your mind won't give you all the answers. You will, however, begin to look at things with more peace, understanding, and patience, while simultaneously equipping yourself with more tools and strategies to help you effectively deal with this thing called life. Now, before we go any further, I'm no doctor, no psychiatrist, no psychologist. I have, however, been diagnosed with bipolar disorder level 1 for 16 years. And to be honest, I got to a point in my life where I was looking at the person I was becoming versus the person I wanted to be. And that, among other things, required me to look at my mental health responsibly. So whether or not you're diagnosed or know someone who's diagnosed or have symptoms or just want to know more about it, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're one of the many people who could just use some tips, tricks, and different ideas to help you get through day-to-day life. Pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is your family, man. Welcome home, no judgment zone. This week's episode in the season finale of season 4, episode 424, Walk to the Line, part 2. It's been a pleasure. Let's go. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the season finale of season 4. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a propensity to draw out these season finales or big things, whether it be merchandise launching, website launching, YouTube videos, etc., etc. And I kind of feel more of a sense of relief with this one. Well, let me get into the announcements first. So with this being the season finale of this season, let me let you guys know what that means. That means that the podcast will not have any more episodes associated with this season for at least 2 to 3 months. Now, with that being said, I will be still available on the Wisdom app. In fact, my usage of the Wisdom app will actually increase. I will be more available when it comes to my newsletters. If you go to the website, www.medicineballls3.com. On my social medias, Medicine Ball LS3. That's Medicine Ball LS in the number 3. My Facebook groups, all of that, Twitter, my activity on those is about to go way up. The podcast, however, is very tedious. On top of that, I'm in the middle of a contract negotiation. God is good. The blessings, honor, glory go to him. But it's an extensive contract. And with me being out of town, which I spoke on the last podcast, and I'm going to get into a little bit more, it's just why strategically from the contract point of view to go ahead and end this season as I go into negotiations with that as well. So those are the places where you'll be able to find me, and I'm pretty uniform. Medicine Ball LS3. Clubhouse, I will crank up I'm gonna fill it out a little bit, but Wisdom app, I will be all of those places. All right. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode, man. It's gonna be chock full, a lot of detail. It's almost like a decompress and a debriefing, if you will. You know what I mean? I just had my mid-year review, and that was really for me a year review as well, because it's the second one. But this is going to be loaded with a lot of things. I'm going to touch on spirituality a little bit more this episode. I'm going to touch on the Kobe Bryant references. I'm going to talk about things I've gone through in my life. I'm going to talk about things I have coming up, and I'm going to put a message with it all together to hopefully inspire you guys to keep pushing and be able to walk to the line. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I would like to do is apologize. I mean, I've been listening to the playback and the mic. It may be a little bit of feedback in there, but I ask that y'all just rock with me. I'm going to do my best to clean it up in post-production and just kind of continue to talk so that it's not annoying you guys. Apologize. The second thing I would like to do is apologize for last week's episode. I know it was kind of rushed. It was kind of in a fog and everywhere. And The main reason is, as I explained in the previous episode, I had just come off of a 38-hour road trip in which I changed 3 time zones. And me being too confident in my ability, right? Not getting a good amount of sleep, still trying to handle work and everything. With my work is still on East Coast time, and I'm on, what is this, West Coast time? I was gonna say Pacific, I guess, but anyway, 3 hours away. Um, I just wanted to get it out because, again, behind the scenes, I have certain contracts, obligations, algorithms, and things of that nature to where I can't. And then I had a flub earlier this season, if y'all remember, where I released 2 episodes on my brother, my frat brother, who I'm actually with, on his podcast channel. So it took me out of the algorithm. It was just a mess. So I had to get it out, but I still want to apologize, but I'm going to make up for it with this one. And it was actually somebody up here where I'm located currently, which is Washington, right? Who was like, yo, why don't you just make a part 2? Part 1, part 2, since you couldn't really figure it out. The other thing I want to speak on is like, man, yo, I realized like maybe a few years ago, and anybody who's known me for like at least a decade knows, when I was heavy into the music and the party promotion, I used to post every single thing. I feel like I posted everything that happened in my life, whether it be a food, whether it be just like a rainbow, whether it be a sunny day, whether it be a joyous moment. And as I've grown, I realized that like it's hard to enjoy, at least for me and how I have to do it with my brand. It's hard for me to enjoy some of the things that I'm going through and experiencing if I have to put my focus into getting the right shot, putting in the right hashtag. So what I've done on this trip, and you can follow me at Medicine Ball LS3, and there's a peek of it, is man, I've just compiled a bunch of stuff. Like I went out and bought an additional SD card from my phone, and I already have from this trip. Now, mind you, this road trip took me from Georgia, through Tennessee, up through I want to say, man, and again, I'm just coming off the top of my head. I want to say from Tennessee, we went into either Kentucky or Illinois for a second, and from there we went to Missouri. Then from there we went over to Iowa for a second, and then we went to Nebraska. From there we went into Wyoming. From there we went into Idaho, and then from there we went into Oregon, and from there we went into Washington. Or it might have been the other way around. But anyway, that's a lot of states, a lot of different time zones, but a lot of dope experiences, a lot of good footage. And I've just been collecting it. I have posted some of it here and there, but I promise you, that's one of the things I'm going to do when I get back. Or I may start to work on it, while I'm kind of out here. It start to flood YouTube with that stuff, flood my pages with it, and give y'all a lot of visuals, man. When I tell y'all, it's so beautiful. Like, man, I play a lot of video games, and my frat brother was like, you keep saying this, man. And it's because it's just like, I don't know how, it's a culture shock for me. At 37 years old, I went from one coast literally to the opposite coast, right? So you got to understand things such as the way that the expressways work. Like these expressways, you get off the expressway and it's like you in a neighborhood. And if anybody plays video games, I'm saying it again, Grand Theft Auto, it's like Grand Theft Auto when you unlock that other side of the map that's been dark for the first like 4 hours of gameplay. And then when you get over there, all the cars is different. All the scenery is different. All the weapons are different, right? Same thing, boom. So I relate it to like Halo or something. Because it's Mount Hood that just like, pretty much, if you go within 2 miles, you're gonna get a break open where you just see this big ass mountain, snow-capped mountain off in the distance. And now, mind you, because one of my cousins has said this on my Facebook post, I live in Stone Mountain in Georgia, so it's just like, yeah, I can see Stone Mountain, but bro, I've been to the top of Stone Mountain. You can't go. You're not going to the top of Mount Hood. Like, just to see it from there, first of all, you got to realize, like, 50 miles of forest you got to get through just to get it. Second thing you got to realize, man, it's the middle of a heat wave for everybody. That joint got snow on the top of it. You feel me? So I was like, yo, Stone Mountain is a pebble compared to this. But all of this to say, it's been a lot for me to just like enjoy this, you know what I mean? I still gotta be a man, you know what I mean? This frat brother is somebody who, and I might talk about this on season 5 or on Wisdom, or he might have, this a plug for him, Jess J or Jay Easy, Jay Son. Y'all can go follow him. I got him tagged somewhere. Go listen to him. He might have talked about this, but long story short, we went through something in college where he did something for me, and I just will be forever grateful. Go check his stuff out. He probably talked about it before. I'm going to talk about it not on this platform, but
That's my man, right? And even with him, I ain't gonna put his age out there, but I still respect him as my brother. And he be telling me, like, yo, man, you gotta stop complaining. As a man, he's really on this as a man kick. We don't say nothing, we just handle it and shut up. And I feel him, but not really. Right? But I'm still trying to learn from him. But this whole thing has just been beautiful, man. And I'm trying to, like, in my mind, because I said I ain't gonna write this down. I'm just gonna go through it. I'm trying to kind of stay on track of my mind. Okay, boom. So work, right? So even with all of this, I had to bring my stuff for work. I talked about last episode why I wasn't able to, grab every single thing, even though I know God works. But man, my work is still on Eastern Standard Time. So, like, any of my coworkers, I mean, not coworkers, but anybody on my team who listens to my podcast who didn't know is gonna know now. I'm in 3 hours away, but that's just bad for y'all because by the time, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not gonna say it's bad for y'all, but don't think nothing slick because my day be over at 3:30 this time. You feel me? I wake up at 7 o'clock and I'm at work 6 a.m., which sounds stiff, but it works for me as a businessman. But that is a lot. But I thought ahead. You know what I mean? I think I've mentioned that we're going through these audits at work and I have to listen to so many calls. I just thought ahead. You know what I'm saying? We got so many calls we got to listen to a month. I listened to darn near all those calls before I even left. So I've still been going, but it's been a lot to manage that. So let me take a pause on the work because I'm going to go back to that, but I'm going to use this time to kind of debrief some of the things. I'm going to really get into talking about myself. And I say this to people all the time. I don't really like talking about myself because I used to be that guy to post everything, right? Be very arrogant. And so be humble or become what you despise. But I'm going to talk about myself in the sense of, like, I'm just going to unpack everything. So let me pause on work. I'm going to bring it back. But let me just speak on some of the things I've been through just with this season. So with this season, I started it off with the death of my best friend, my grandmother. And that whole thing started happening. I stayed around the beginning of September. I was dealing with a new relationship. And even prior to my grandmother passing, let me just really unpack this, right? Well, boom, let me pause here first. Well, let me go back even a little further. It's gonna be a good episode. And y'all know, anybody who follow me, whenever I say that, it's gonna be fire somewhere. I haven't talked about this much. I've touched on it, but I'm gonna really go deep into it real quick. My spiritual growth, first thing I gotta do is give thanks and honor and glory to God. I've been having a lot of conversations about religion lately and having to talk to people with different views. That will be on wisdom. That might be more next season. But long story short, I talked about a fast. I talked about my point of view on the Old Testament and New Testament. I just want to pause right now and let people know, if you any type of believer, spiritual warfare is real. And in retrospect, if you go back and listen to my episodes, it's probably gonna be dope. I haven't gone back and looked at it, but, like, I tell stories early on about even just my journey with the job that in retrospect I understand through fasting, scripture, and more studying. Shout out to Mila, you know what I'm saying? She was a guest, she helped me with this. That spiritual warfare is real. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. For me, it's scary. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, once you start down that hole, and I don't want to get too deep into it because we as humans have a tendency to pervert the Bible in so many ways, but let's just say the devil is real, right? But when you fast, and I spoke on this previously, scripture that talks about certain ties, right? Because spiritual ties, soul ties from sex or whatever, that's real, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Generational ties from something that your parents may have done, that joint is real, y'all. You know what I mean? And if you don't go about things a certain way, i.e. deliverance, fasting, real fasting. Scripture says some demons and some spiritual bonds can only be broken with fasting and prayer. It's going to be rough for you. And I ain't going to go too much into this. You could contact me personally if you want to know more, but just know that spiritual warfare is real. And I've talked about everything from my car to adversities at work to adversities with relationships to the timing of things. I even think I talked about timing and energy and all of this. And without getting too deep into it, man, once you start trying to, like, build your relationship with God and understand the spiritual thing, like, knowledge is power in the spiritual realm. And I want to be careful with that, because not arrogant knowledge, but spiritual knowledge, spiritual discretion, theocracies, right? That's the Greek word for the Hebrew word for it, right? I just thank him for it because, like long story short, once you start trying to build that relationship and I don't want to say woke, but like start building growing spiritually, right? With the Holy Spirit and being able to listen and hear God and stuff like that. Like the devil and demons, they not cool with that. They're dark. And so darkness only wants to remain dark. So naturally, when darkness sees light, it's going to attack the light first. Most people are dim, right? But when you start growing with the fire, like I tell folks, man, I got a passion for the scripture and for the word, bro. If I don't got nothing else, I get upset in some arguments where I probably shouldn't. I get defensive about stuff, but it's that same passion that has awakened me to a lot. And I don't want to say awaken because I got to be careful with this kundalini and these third eyes and all that, but it has kind of made me more aware of his voice and how things work. So I have been going through a lot of spiritual warfare because the devil, now I see in retrospect, just didn't want me to even become aware of this knowledge that I have now. And it be deep, y'all, because behind all of this, God is steadily blessing me in ways. But if you're not used to his voice and don't understand his character, you're not going to see him as blessings. You're going to be getting attacked by the devil. And then God is going to put you in a hard situation where it's really to develop you or see if you're worthy of going to the next level. And if you're not careful about how you go about like deciphering that, you're going to blend it all together. And that's how a lot of us miss our opportunities, blessings, and chances. But all of that to say, so I realized even building up to this moment where I have still humbly, the glory goes to God, right? Where I have still been receiving blessings and successes that the devil's been attacking me because he ain't even want me to find out about deliverance and spiritual warfare and fasting. See, he done messed up now, but he's been on my tail. So I think he did everything he could. He took my grandmother away. And before I even got to the grandmother, I went through stuff at my job. And before my grandmother passed, man, I had one of my cousins who I am close with in my generation pass. And then 2 months later, her mother passed. And that in itself thrust me into kind of a miniature. And I say this humbly, bro. I don't want this position. I just take what God gives me because I got family who listen to my podcast. I don't want them to take this no kind of way. I don't want to be this patriarch middleman type dude. I ain't trying to be Captain Save a Family. I can't help that I'm cool with the new generation and enough of the old generation to now it's to the point when something happened in the family, people is hitting me up and I'm having to play middleman and decipher stuff that I never wanted to be a part of. Right? And I'm building all of this to go somewhere. But those are opportunities. So with this whole spiritual warfare thing, man, back to boom, season 1, then I'm going to go to my job. Look, I kept my space. God works. When my grandmother passed, after my cousins had passed, 2 months later, me and Mila reconnected and I started learning about deliverance. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was due to timing, what I was going through at work, my relationships or grieving. But me and her, and you know what? I'm going to say this. We probably connected before my grandmother passed. And then there was like a pause for like 2 or 3 months. And I reconnected with her probably at the end of December 2021, January. And that's when I got into the fasting and really understanding spiritual warfare. So with that being said, not only did I have the situation with my car that just magically went out for the whole time of my fast, right? I had one college, and I'm doing these in order. I had one college person that I knew and rocked with, and even to this day, he threw parties with somebody who was my man, who I used to do parties with a decade ago. He passed. Boom. Then I had a cousin who got caught in the middle of a violent situation as a bystander. She passed. Boom. Then I had her sister, who was my other cousin, basically die of a broken heart because she stopped eating. She passed. Boom. Then I had somebody who I was intimately involved with at one point, but who was also a cool person. She passed. And I don't even think I shared that publicly. Boom. Then I had... what else happened at this time? I had one more person pass, and I'm sorry if I can't remember because it's just so many, because these are direct hits. Boom. And then this is coming up around this time, and these are just the deaths. This has nothing to do with anything else. I had somebody that I actually brought into my fraternity, the organization. Like, if you know, you know. I was their ADP. I ain't gonna get into that. He passed. And then 2 days later, my cousin, who, I mean, she's just my cousin, from mental health, committed suicide. And so she passed. So boom, that's just the death aspect. We're not going to talk about, okay, so let's talk about my cousins who passed on my dad's side, the one who got caught in the bullets. I'm aware of how old my dad is. And I'm aware that these people are his nieces, but more, I'm not gonna say more importantly, but other than that, they're his sister, his last remaining sibling alive, daughters. And she's older than he is. So I'm aware that this is wearing on her. She only has, I think, 2 children left. 3 of them have been taken from her. If she were to pass right now, I'd be looking at my dad and I'd be like, man, this dude here, like, I'm starting to realize that because we all think our parents is superhuman, man. They ain't superhuman. And unfortunately for a lot of us, it's until we get older and we realize when they start deteriorating and leaving the oven on and leaving the milk out on the counter and leaving the garage door open and just forgetting little stuff like, yo, these folks is human. They deteriorate. So even though me and him have kind of like a turbulent relationship, bro, I love that, man. And I don't want to sit here and watch my dad deteriorate. So I'm going through that. Boom. At work, man, I'm going through all kind of ups and downs. I got turnaround. I'm dealing with different personalities. I'm dealing with selfish people. Leadership is about being selfless to the selfish, right? You think they give a damn? They say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, and I ain't taking no shot at nobody, but this is what the people at my job do. "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss, but something, 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 something about me and my situation." And that quick, they'll forget that, like, yo, if you have somebody pass and I treated you with any type of rudeness, you would run to HR. But when I have somebody pass and I still come to work and I wake up and I get up out my bed to fix your time card because you weren't responsible, you don't give a damn about that. I digress because regardless, I'ma still serve with grace and love, right? On top of all that, boom. Oh, now my website comes around. Oh, now I got a YouTube opportunity. And these are things that I'm not complaining about at all. These things that I'm going into now, but this is that part of when the devil's attacking you, God will still give you blessings because, and I'll talk about this to other people, man, his voice is silent. There's scripture that says like all this crazy stuff happens and a whisper came through. And that was God. So I can't complain like, yo, I got a contract to look at. Yo, I got to get on wisdom. Yo, I got to pub this. Man, I asked for this shit. I asked for it. I prayed for it. We pray for stuff all the time, and then when God give it to us because we wasn't thinking about it carefully or because we selfish and because we not walking with him, he give us what we asked for, and then we complain about it. I asked for this podcast to grow. I asked to make money off this podcast. I asked for people to follow and listen to me. I'll be darned if I go back and complain to him. So all of this, boom, let's wrap it around to work. So now I'm at a point where this opportunity arises for me to go literally coast to coast. And at first I thought I was running. And one of my favorite shows on Netflix is All American. And I think Spencer just had a situation. I didn't even finish it, but long story short, Coop got shot and was in the hospital unconscious, and Spencer had gotten offered a college scholarship and wasn't gonna go. And then they were like, "Yeah, you know what? I don't know who said it to him. Oh, it was Tay Diggs. It was his coach. It was like, yo, you know why you're not gonna go? Cause you so used to saving everybody and being there for everybody that you feel like if you leave, everybody might be okay." And it's just a side piece to this story. I'm building this up and letting y'all know where I'm coming from. So, that's just something that stuck out in my mind. Interesting. I'm trying to think about what else happened because there was an episode that had to do with love from a father. It might have been All American again where Jordan was having something with, I don't know, bro, but I had a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that kind of like keys from God, I say in a lot of ways, because again, he whisper. He don't talk loud. Like, oh, God, send me a sign. Oh, big, if I'm meant to take this job, please let lightning strike and me be able to jump. Nah, bro. You might be like, if I'm meant to take the job, right? And you might get an extra deposit in your account a day later for like $50, and we be overlooking that kind of stuff. But that might have been the money you needed for your ticket or something like that. That'd be little stuff. He whispers. So through this, I had to look at this trip, and I could see the devil in my own fear finding every darn reason not to go. I deserve it. I'm just going to keep it real. Because there's a ton of stuff I haven't spoken about in reference to music. My battle with music. My contracts with music, man. And again, I'm not complaining, but like this ain't easy stuff, bro. Go sit down in front of an audio editing, a video editing, a music editing program, right? And then also be able to deal with Excel, spreadsheets, and PowerPoints. I'm not complaining though, because this is stuff I didn't know how to do 2 years ago that I know how to do that helps me in so many other ways. You feel me? So, work. So that's all of that. So I pushed, and I'm not going to go into it, but one of my sisters, and I mentioned this, I asked God, yo, give me a sign if you, because I try to approach it differently. I have a different relationship with God, but I'll be like, yo, give me a sign if I don't need to go. And I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, bro. It could have been anything at that point. My deposit was $50 less. I was gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna go. He gave me the opposite. He gave me reassurance. So at that point, you can't be disobedient. And now I'm gonna use that to branch into what I was saying about work and my experiences here. I'm gonna relate it to Kobe, and I'm gonna get y'all up out of here until next season, all right? Now, pause. This would not be a Mamba episode without me shouting out, ladies and gentlemen, man's best friend. One of the most adaptable animals out of sheer love alone. Hear that again. One of the most adaptable animals out of sheer love alone. Let me give him a little love. And I can use that to kind of segue into finishing everything up. Man, I be feeling like such a pastor when I say that. Yo, let me get to my point after I already been talking for a long ass time. And I'm gonna get y'all up out of here. Yo, so as he lays on my leg. Yo, let me explain something to y'all, man. Dogs don't have no understanding the concept of a time change, right? They don't. This dude, I just love him, man, and I couldn't imagine coming without him. And I think I told y'all the story. Like, it was a done data that he was coming after certain things happened, but it was a done data that I was gonna, and that's might be an intro into season 5. I'm gonna tell y'all about the road trip that I'm gonna take to go home. I'm not gonna tell y'all when, because I don't need everybody in my business, but I'm gonna take a week and drive back across the country, me and Mamba, and that will be a lot of good content that I'm gonna keep y'all engaged with as well. But man, I mean, it got to a point when we were traveling where it was pretty much like, yo, the time is a mess, so we just gonna have to feed this dude sun up, sun down. And then it goes from that to just like for instance, even as I record this, right, it's 3 a.m. in his mind, most likely. He's exhausted. Sometimes I look at this dude in his eyes and I just be like, poor dude, this dude's sleepy. He don't know what's going on. And I've been here about a week. But it's just like, out of sheer love alone, he doesn't care. You know what I mean? He doesn't care where I sleep. He doesn't care that the desk is mini, and we kind of, this how we grinding it right now. We not at home. You know, it's not a small space. I'm thankful to my frat brother, but it's probably not what he used to. But I've been keeping him fed. And the good thing is, this is really a doggy haven. They are so dog friendly here. And I'm going to use this to segue into my experiences up here in Washington and Oregon, right, which are two different places that I was kind of just running together because we're so close. But let me tell you how dog friendly they are. No joke. Within a 10-mile radius, there's like 2 Petcos and 2 PetSmarts within a 10-mile radius. That's how dog friendly these folks are up here. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and segue into it. So I'm still an African American male, and like, even when I got up here, I had to calm my happy ass down, right? Like, oh man, we're not in the South anymore, and this is just great. And then, you know, Washington and Oregon, if you know, are good for other reasons. If you know, you know. But whatever. So I'm perceptive still. So when I go walk this dude, right, because it's so dog friendly where my frat brother stays, that they got these little posts with the dog poop bags that you could just pull out, right? So I'm walking this dude, and you know, like, white people are walking up on me, and it's almost like, yeah, I don't know who the hell you are, but hey, who's the new dog? Who's the new fella here? And because of Mamba, they're talking to me. So shout out to Mamba. He's been very adaptable. I got a ton of pictures, a ton of stuff, plans, whether it be from hikes to waterfalls. He's already learning to be more socialized with dogs just by the close distance. He's already had a run-in with a dog. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. If this man get mad, he almost remind me of me. Mamba, that is. If he gets mad, the dogs that be like really messing with him, if he really wanted to, just off of sheer size and athleticism, he could probably just F him up. I ain't even gonna lie to you. So there's been a dog who's been messing with him, and I find out that the dog's a year old, but he like Mamba outweighs this dude by like 20 pounds. Now, when it comes to female dogs, he almost like a player, right? He not gonna fight them back. They be beating him up. He's not gonna fight a woman back. But this little shrimp, murk this dude, right? But anyway, I still gotta remember where we're at, right? Because I see the vibe. I know the situation. I don't know what he's told these people. I've given him money. You know what I'm saying? If they want to be like, yo, it's a dog fee, we going to pay it. Humbly, we black men with bread. Like, we don't have to act ignorant. We could pay for any problem. But I'm still seeing the racism because these people talking in my face. I'm making sure because I don't want no problems that. Now, mind you, at my own house, when Mamba takes a dump, I literally have a shovel out there stuck in my ground that I pick up and I scoop his poop at my own house, a home, where I could just let him poop wherever and it just stack and nobody's gonna say nothing to me. So why wouldn't I have that same behavior, if nothing else, out of habit and pattern alone when I'm on the road? All of that to say, 2 days in, my frat brother, the first thing I noticed was I went right outside of where he lives and there's a pile of dog shit right there. Right there out front of the door. Now, I be trying not to judge people, and when it comes to Caucasians, I be trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but like, come on, bruh. Come on. Here's the kicker. The next day, they email my frat brother talking about some, yo, it's a $50 fee if you caught not picking up your dog waste. Let me tell you something. I've been here for 7 days. Mamba has taken 7 shits. I've scooped 7 times and walked to the dumpster, broad daylight, holding this little green bag full of dump in my hand because I know what time it is. Long story short, they sent that straight to him. So shout out to Mamba, but let me get into walking to the line because this trip has been walking to the line. I had to still realize that there's a couple of things that's not going to change, and don't get too excited about my whereabouts because that was the first sign that like, yo, and I don't have a complex, right? I'm not tripping. I'm not like, yo, poor me. Because again, I take on a warrior mentality first. And that's kind of what this whole episode is about. And this whole Kobe thing is about. Before I be like licking my wounds and become a victim, I'm going to fight first. And fighting doesn't always mean violence. And I think a lot of people get tripped up with that. Yo, when you fight back, that doesn't mean violence. Martin Luther King taught us that, right? Juneteenth just passed, right? He taught us that. But I'm going to give y'all another one. So after that happened, there's a random notice that like, yo, coming up this week, they're going to have apartment inspections from this time to this time. Now, I might be being a little paranoid on that, but I just find it weird that, you know, I show up, new dog, Mamba doesn't bark or nothing. I've cleaned up all his trash. We get a notification about that. Boom, 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 right? Now, I got to throw this piece in about Mamba, his adaptability and us bonding and growing because I took him outside of 2 days ago and the little black dog was in the back with his owners and, you know, they white people, you know, this is where they live. I'm a visitor here. So they chilling. But long story short, they let this dude get off the leash. Now, in retrospect, I have more emotional discipline than that. They don't know I'm Medicine Ball, right? Even though I was wearing the hoodie, yo, shouts out to Medicine Ball. But they don't know I'm Medicine Ball. They don't know that I'm like not your average Negro. The dog got loose. I kind of think she let the thing go. Now, in this situation, I have to be emotionally disciplined and understand my surroundings. I'm gonna give y'all an example of like how where I've been able to get to and where you all can get to. The dog's rushing Mamba, right? First thing is, it's literally like 4 white folks out there, and they all traumatic. Oh my gosh! Oh, da, 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 da. I'm silent. There's a bush in front of me where I'm walking Mamba. I simply pretty much push Mamba into the bush, and I throw my body between the dog and Mamba. So Mamba's in the bush, and he's trying to turn around and get at the dog, but he can't. And the dog's trying to get at Mamba, but he can't because he goes from the right. I just step to the right. Now, this lady is literally like 10 paces away. She could have been got up and got her dog. Bro, this dude had time to go from the left to the right to the left. Now, even though I didn't say nothing, and even after that, I was like, it's fine. It's all good. And I took Mamba inside. I acted like a calm Negro. You feel me? Because I wasn't mad, but I knew what was going on. You feel me? Now the whole thing is, I know that because they kind of left me alone after. They was like, yo, this dude, because I'm looking straight. You know what I mean? I've been working out. I'm in a cutoff sleeve. They probably think that I play for one of these football teams. I like, and no cap. They probably think I'm a football player who's moved over here the way that I'm walking around here, right? So I have a cutoff sleeve shirt on while this is happening. Now all my tattoos are showing, including my fraternity brand. They don't know what that shit means, right? And so I block Mamba, I get them off, and I'm like, yo, it's okay. I'm real calm about it. They walk up, try to give him a treat. But there was an old man there, and the way he looked at me, and I kind of heard him say something like, he must be military, because I ain't react or flip out or nothing. But that was another kind of hint to me, like, yo, bro, don't get too happy. Remember where you are. Even though you walk in this line, you still got to be clutch. Because if you F up when you 2,800 miles away from your home, and even though my sister is a judge, I'm about 1,500 from her, bro, you up here. Now, I got family in Seattle, but they ain't legal. She's a vet. You feel me? So, side note, I see why she's a vet up here now. They very dog friendly. Yo, shout out to Michelle. Shout out to you, buddy. I love you. I'm going to come see you. You probably getting buku cash with all these dogs up here. But anyway. So that was an ode to Mamba, but here was the last kicker of me kind of understanding where I'm at. Now, mind you, I love this Washington, Oregon area because I'm being from Atlanta, bruh, I drive a BMW. When you step out, just hit the city, when you just like do anything, business meeting, whatever, you got to be on point, bro. You got to be fresh. You got to look a certain way. You got to have a certain mystique about your hair. Got to be cut, da-da-da-da-da. It ain't like that here from what I've experienced so far. I feel like there's races everywhere, but just the average person judge you based off of your character and not your look. So it like has been some very, very dope white people. And I could get into the dating, but it's just like, I see why it's diverse, right? But like, yeah, man, they judge you based on your character, right? But the last thing I seen was, and yo, if Jay listen to this, he gonna be mad. I don't care, Jay. You know what I'm saying? We pay like everybody else, and I'm saying we because I shot him some bread. You know what I mean? Even though I could probably stay here for free, being a man, like, bruh, it costs money for the AC, the extra, whatever. Here, a couple $100, right? I want to hit the pool, bro. I'm looking. I want to hit the pool. It's still hot up here. Like in Atlanta, it's like hot breath. Right? Up here, this is what they call it. It's dry heat. So it's still hot, but it's more bearable. But I wanted to hit the pool. My frat brother went to the pool yesterday and his key ain't work. But I'm watching like everybody else go to the pool. It's a little neighborhood. It's a little community neighborhood. I'm watching everybody else go to the pool. His key don't work. Now, again, I know how he think. Like, yo, I'm across the country. I'm in here with these folks. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to make no moves. I ain't gonna shake nothing up. Let me just do what I do. We got bread. This dude brought his daughter back. And we ain't tripping on it. So he took her to a water park. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't nothing. Like, and that's humbly, right? We ain't balling, but it's just like, yo, F it, take it to water. But I'm just kind of like, oh, so what is this? The old school segregation? Our key don't work. And then I had to get hood for a second. I was like, now see, if the key don't work and we hop the gate, then they'll be trying to say something else. But that's another story. But all of that to say, that was kind of the middle, because there's nothing negative about this Washington, Oregon area I've seen for real compared to Atlanta. I'm just going to keep it real. But I want to give y'all some other things that I've come across. So with the diversity, man, and this is how God works. And this is about when you under pressure, you're walking to the line, can you still be clutch? And I'm going to tell the Kobe Bryant story after this. I've seen quite a few situations where the music, I could strive more here. And my whole thing was, I'm in Atlanta. It would be dumb for me to move from like the hottest place from music when I'm trying to do it to somebody else. Or would it be? Just by me saying that I do music and being able to show my background up here, I done gathered a lot of contacts. A lot of people is already trying to get me involved with the music, right? There's more the Portland or the Portland scene, but just up here in general Washington, I don't know nobody. When I think music between Portland and Washington, or Oregon and Washington, the only rapper I can think of is Dave Littler, no cap, and he's a basketball player. I've seen some things to happen with mental health. I see a lot more mental health advocacy and a mental health awareness out here, which I kind of at first thought about it like, well, these people don't need my help. They already on it. But maybe I wasn't looking at it the right way. maybe I could use this community and come together and make something strong enough to resonate from coast to coast. Like realistically, if I was operating from here, and this is all stuff that might go into season 5, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna move to Washington? Is he gonna level up and have a place in Washington? I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be relaxed at the line. I'm not gonna overstep my boundary. I'm gonna let God do his thing. But anyway, I see a lot of mental health openings here. I've had literally at least 4 people who I have had conversations with so deep to where they're definitely a fan of medicine ball and nonetheless even have given me more ideas and things. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you guys know, and I am bringing the spirituality into it, and I'm letting y'all know where I've been, what y'all gonna expect, because I was about to tell y'all how much longer I'm gonna be. I'm not giving out my business, but I'm gonna be up here for a minute. You feel me? But with the podcast kind of shutting down, that's gonna give me more time to get more photogenic and upload more visuals and interact with more people and branch out in this area and see who I'm rocking with. You feel what I mean? But I want you guys to understand, man, if you're a believer, and let me be clear when I say this, I don't believe in anything I'm about to say, but I do believe you should meet people halfway. If you're somebody who believes in this energy stuff or this manifestation, which I used to be, whatever you want to call it, as long as it's positive, I will meet you there. You have to understand that if you believe in all of this positive ideology, there is an other side. That's just the way that the big guy created it. And we cannot get so blinded at wanting things to go our way or wanting things to be perfect. Or what I'm hearing a lot from people when I talk to them about religion is, I don't subscribe to this idea that humans are bad. Which my first question is, well, do you think that humans are a good judge of right or wrong? And then people, well, I think we do. Well, where'd you get that from? And it's redundant, right? I do this on Wisdom all the time. I go in there with the people. If they talking that right and wrong stuff and is ignorant, I'm gonna eat their lunch. So follow me on Wisdom to see me do that. But regardless of what you think, you have to understand that keeping your head level, you know what I'm saying? Especially when, and I say this to my team all the time, man, life is full of adversity, problems, issues, and things that you have to overcome. It would behoove you to, as soon as you possibly can, start to become better at operating within those and under those conditions. And I'm using this experience to grow, look at diversity, and still operate under these conditions. Because let me tell you something, I don't have a car right now. I have access to one. I can go rent one, which I'm going to probably do. But I'm just meeting up with people. I'm living off the land right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here. I'm blessed to be able to have my job, but I don't really have nobody but my frat brother. My cousin is 2-3 hours away from what I understand. Me being in Vancouver, Washington, she in Seattle, but I'm still operating at the line. So it was 2014, man. And y'all could go Google this. You could go literally put in Kobe Bryant Achilles game. Now, let me say this. Before you Google that, go put in Kevin Durant Achilles game. Or just go look at various Achilles injuries from NBA players. Go type in NBA players Achilles injuries. And go look at all of those. If you see one with Kobe, skip it. Go look at all the other ones. And you're going to notice some pain. You're going to notice, and I know it hurts. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never had my Achilles snap, but you're going to notice some theatrics. When they play that back on ESPN and in the archives, it's going to be of you crumbling or you falling down or you holding on to your leg or your team having to carry you off the court or you having to be rolled off the court. And then there's something subtle for those of you who don't understand sports. If you get injured but you're fouled on that play, and you leave the game because of injury, you can't take your 2 free throws. And if you can't take your 2 free throws, there's no way you could come back to the game. So let me explain that in another way. If you're injured on a play and that play results in you taking 2 free throws or taking free throws, right? If you're able to take your free throws and you have to leave after that, you can still come back to the game. If you're too injured to shoot your free throws and you go in the back and say you get a shot or it gets worked out, you cannot come to the game because you were too injured to take your free throws. Somebody had to take them for you. Kobe Bryant, 2014, got injured. It was to the Golden State Warriors. And I think at the time they were down by like 8 points. It was like 6 maybe. It was like 72-78 Golden State Warriors. And Kobe tore his Achilles. Go look at this injury. Same one when Kevin Durant's, when you can see it all crumble up into a sock. Kobe knew what I just told you. Now, we know, of course, now in retrospect, bro, if you rupture your Achilles, you're not coming back into the game. But it was a clutch situation. And Kobe is such a dog with this Mamba mentality in a situation where he could have cried, his season was over, he could have pouted, he could have just threw it away. He was like, I'll be damned if I let anybody take these 2 free throws to get us closer to victory than myself. He had a slight grimace on his face. You couldn't even tell. It was almost like he pulled a muscle. He walked. He walked. He walked to the free throw line. And he sank 2 of the biggest free throws. Now, we ain't going to talk about whether they won or lost, but he did as much as he possibly could before he had to leave to put them in a situation to win that game. And then he walked off the line. And I think a lot of times when we're injured, I think a lot of times when we hurt, I think a lot of times when something that has happened to us that we know is going to be detrimental to us down the future, it's real easy to get distracted and forget about what else we can do before we address that. A lot of times we quit before we take the free throws. Yeah, we can't play no more this season. We know that. Yeah, my grandmother passed and I'm losing people. We know that. My boss does it. My boss cares, but like my job don't care. Somebody's paying me to do a service. I tell people all the time, Bill Gates' cousin might have died yesterday. You feel me? Mark Zuckerberg's niece might have died this afternoon. You'll never hear about it. When you go pull up your phone and you press that little blue button, or when you turn on your computer, you expect that joint to work. And if you were like turned it on and it didn't work and it said, yo, Bill Gates lost his niece today, how many of y'all would care? Sometimes we take the human aspect out of it and we don't really give people the props for facing their things. This goes to one of my previous episodes. We all have holes in our socks. And I wanted to choose this episode to show y'all the holes in my socks. Yeah, you might have on some Travis Scott Jordans or some $500 Yeezys, but what those socks look like, player? You can't see them unless you get intimate with somebody. You have to get comfortable with somebody for even be in a situation where they're going to take their socks off. So as I end this season and I end this episode and I go enjoy Washington and Oregon and looking at a mountain every day, even though I see one that I'm thankful for, and realizing these new people and this new culture, and how to operate and diversify myself in a new environment, I want to tell y'all something. It's about what you do in them situations where you know that down the line it's going to be rough, but what can you do before you address that? Let's not be so quick to start looking at the negative future or rough future ahead that we don't finish off what's in front of us diligently and righteously. So I encourage y'all. You might be down. You might be on a losing streak. I just told somebody this here in Oregon. Well, I'm sorry. Sorry, I hit the mic. It was in Oregon, which is literally 5 minutes away. But I just told him now, I was like, yo, you could lose 2,000 games. You could lose 10 million games. All you got to do is lose one, and guess what? You on a winning streak. I want y'all to think about that. Those of y'all who are going through rough time or adversity after adversity. You can lose 10 million flipping games. If you win one, you just went on a losing streak. For those believers out there, and even if you're not, I need everybody to hear this when it comes to God, bro. And I think that this helps keep me grounded. And even Kobe Bryant, I have a clip on my Facebook of him talking about his situation in Colorado. And this made me like Kobe first. They were like, what was it about that situation in Colorado? He was like, yo, sooner or later, you're going to come into a situation or there's going to be a cross that's too big for you to carry. You're going to have to lean on him. What we have to understand here is that this world is just temporarily when it comes to a believer, bro. And more specifically, if you look at scripture, this world is from the evil one. So with that being known, we have to lean on God's character. And I always say this, bro. When things are what you or I perceive as good, God is still a good guide. When things are what you or I perceive as bad, God is still a good guide. And a lot of times, It's the refusal to lose and the refusal to give up and to stand tall and keep going and walk to the line that leads us to do something great. But more importantly, just like that Kobe Bryant story, motivate somebody else to do something great. And that is the first step into making the world a better place. Help the next person you can see. Yo, this has been season 4, episode 424, Walk to the Line, part 2, season finale. I love y'all. Follow me on all my other social medias. I'll be back with season 5 and more adventures for y'all. If you in Washington, holla at me. If you in Oregon, holla at me. I love y'all. Stay up. Yeah.